lead our workshop this weekend. He's been rocking and rolling with some ladies clinics today that went well, and then last evening some men workouts, so that's gone well. But this is why he's here. It's for the juniors. And how many of you have run workshops before? Coaches. One workshops there? Yeah. So what's going to make it work is he's here to lead. He's going to set the game plan, but he can't do it without us. So I expect everybody full attention, full deal. Talk to him if there's things that aren't working, or the kids. So we want the kids to get things out of this. So feel free to share your thoughts during this deal with him. But he's here. He's planned this thing out. And so the early part here, we're going to go over what to do this weekend, and talk to you about some coaching things. And then, at the end of the day, we want every kid to get something out of this. We want them walking away saying, this was awesome. I wish I could do it again next week. So that's not just on him, it's on all of us. So let's make it happen. It's all about the kids. Let's have our learning hat on. We can learn from each other. And I see nothing but great stuff this weekend. So, I don't want to have to rip my, code out, which I might do. Anyway. All right, Stephen, take it away, man.
Thanks. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. And for the short time that I'm here, I really enjoy the hospitality. Thanks to Stephen and to Anna. So thank you for that. And coaches, thank you. I had quite a bit of experience, and all I'm basically trying to do today is just, as I said, try to come in and give off as much of myself as I can, so that the kids can get an understanding of where they are. Okay? Just before I go into that, I felt a need to have to say this. I'm not here looking for a job. I don't need a job. I'm here. I got introduced to Stephen through Larry when he was with Lewis, and we got really close. I helped him with the development of his kid, and with the offers and opportunities that I have, I don't really take on other stuff, because Larry introduced me to Stephen, and I felt like I kind of really believe in what Tennis Memphis is really about. I got opportunities to anywhere, 6-figure jobs easily. Make a phone call like that one. So it's not about that. I kind of, I want to learn more about this. I find it interesting. So my schedule opened up for me to come this weekend. I coordinated with Stephen, and I said, you know what? I'll come on up. I'm not. Let's just not directly go into the juniors. Let's get some of the ladies involved. Let's get the kids, because that's what I'm about. If you have knowledge to share, and you can share. I like to share. They have some, some coaches, some directors, some that they hug it to themselves, and they don't like to share information. And I'm just the complete opposite. If I have something, you ask me a million questions, I answer, and I just give off. And if you want to come and see me work with the ladies this morning, you see how much I gave off. 16 ladies, and that's me. I want to give off. I want to share my knowledge. So today is just basically about me. Yes, everybody can coach for X amount of years of experience. I'm just here to kind of share my experience from the world. How many people have traveled or taught in another country? Okay. So it's challenging, has its challenges, but it has its rewards at the end of the day. And for me, I just want to share what it is I kind of learned, and what I learned. There's no one way. As you know, extreme forehands and Western forehand. Strokes are different. People hit different ways. Kids have different game styles, but a few things didn't change. The dimensions of the court didn't change. The 5 zones of the court didn't change. Offense and defense footwork doesn't change. And one of the things that I really learned, we had the kids, and we used to go to Asia every winter when we were in Europe to get ready for the winter to come to play the ITF circuit. And I had the opportunity to go into Russia and to Czechoslovakia, and the girl, and this really opened my eye, blew me away. Kids were coming into the program, and for 1 month they weren't allowed to hit a tennis ball. They shadowed until the sun came up, until the sun went down. Because their philosophy was, and you can't argue with them, they're the best players in the world. as well as Serbia. And you can't argue with something if something is working. You can't argue. No matter how you think it may be, it works at the end of the day. And their philosophy was I've got to be able to shadow this. If I can't shadow this thing with my eyes closed, how am I going to hit the ball? Can't hit the ball because I'm not technical. It's not technically sound. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's about I have a play in front of me. I need to understand the level of the junior in front of me. Because where it differs from Europe and United States, I'll give you a little background before we go on. In America, they produce unbelievable juniors at the junior level, but they can't make the transition because there's not enough balance. The kids overplay, and when it's time to make that transition, they're so burnt out, their muscle memory is already so solid that you can't add things to your game. And United States, the kids play, let's go play every let's go play every US team to them, fine. America has some of the best boys in the world. Those boys that they have now, are they going to be better than Johnny Isner, Steph Curry, Marty Fish? My professional opinion, no. Not them capable of winning a junior Grand Slam. I don't think so. I may be wrong. I don't think so. Why? Because where it differs, I'm drawing a comparison. In Europe, 3 things they do in extensive junior programs. They do 3 things. A player comes to the center, they look at, okay, this is what you could do. This is what you're good at. This is what you're not so good at. We gotta build that one. Who can tell me what's the 3rd thing? That Europe does more over United States. Who can tell me what that is? Anybody has an idea? They're better?
They can't do it all.
Okay, all right. Looking for something a little bit more. That was close.
Patterns.
He was close to it, but I'm looking for the real terminology because this weekend it's going to be about terminology and what we say to the kids to expose them to a few things. Racket back, good shot. We're not using that this weekend. We're gonna work on that one and really get that terminology. So, anybody you are Okay, mentors are part of the whole structure. I better what I've got. What I'm not doing so good, I'm going to make better, but I'm going to add things to my game. I got to add. And when you add things to your game, it takes time for the muscle memory to kick in. If you play tournaments every weekend, inside out, the muscle memory is not going to kick in. You could start to work on it, but if you are competing at the same time, when the pressure hits in a tournament, what are you going to do? Back to your basics. You're always going to go back to your basic. And that's one of the reasons that I've seen. I mean, you can go to international workshops, whatever. I've been all wrong, and but at the end of the day, that's what they do better than here. I mean, you look at geography. You have Becker. You can see the stuff that Becker work on his game. Federer same. Edberg. But I mean, you saw Federer take less time to do it, so that when he needs to get that approach and make that first volley on the big stage, he's not doing it. He go right back to what he normally do. That's why Djokovic has to pull on everybody. Because you understand how much time you need to put in for to get that muscle memory, that technique down. That's just my professional opinion. As I said, I'm just sharing what I've seen outside, because I've been out in Europe for 7-8 years. I've been in Asia with a lot of the Chinese players. If I didn't have my daughter, I would be with players in 100 in the world right now, this minute. They all come to me 3 times a year from Asia, and I work with them here. You know what I mean? So it's going to come back now. So now the emphasis and the focus for this weekend, and I need your help. I can't do this alone on no level I can. So I'm really happy that you guys have been able to. I told Tom the first day, hey man, I'm here to do it with you. We're doing this thing together. Or else I can't do it. I'm nobody stronger team player than me. Nobody. Because I'm always there. If I'm going to learn, I'm going to have that notepad. I'm going to write whatever I learn from it. That's the way I am. I don't go nowhere without this notepad or my iPad or my phone. I don't. I guarantee you see me write this weekend. That's the way I am. I think that's the way you learn. 10 years ago, I thought I was good. I wouldn't. To now, the opportunities that I have now to speak and to work with coaches, I never thought 10 years ago I would have that. You know what I mean? So this weekend is interesting because I really want to look at the younger kids, and I'll get into under 10 stuff because I have some stuff to go through there. This weekend, I really want to focus. It's not so much about, oh, your forehand wrong. No, it's not about that. I want to really try to zone in and focus what the kids can and can't do with the tennis ball. It's not about, oh, coaching you, or like this. It's not about, I don't work like that. Oh, you've been coached up, this is wrong. It's not about that. It's about, I want to see these kids, they're going to work harder than they ever work in their life. Okay? I want to see that they really understand how they hit the ball, what they understand meaning of technique, how are they developing as a tennis player? How are they developing? Do they understand what the game style is? Because I know in Europe at 8 and 9, the kids already know that. They can identify balls, they can understand what the game style, every time they go into the court. They're working on everything, but they're working also on the game style. I don't see the 10 and under kids in America doing that. That's why it's falling behind a little bit. And those kids are, in the end, Richard Gasky, you should see his backhand at 7 and 8. Amazing, it's one hand backhand. That because he had those transition balls and he was allowed to set up, hit and recover, built-in recovery, everything was working at 8.
Who's the Gasquet?
Yeah, Richard Gasquet from France. You see that one-hand backhand is phenomenal at 8. You know what I mean? So, as we go through this weekend, yes, we can correct and we'll go through things how we want to correct it, what we're looking at, but we got to be able to do everything together. Because I think we're going to have quite a few kids on the court. I decided, I put the stipulation X amount, but you know what? I'm letting it go more. I'm letting it go more because I want to see how fast we can keep these kids moving. And I really need to see that one. For myself too, I'm going to challenge myself too. Whatever challenge we all have, we all do it together because I have the same challenge. You know what I mean? So, are these kids understanding what the game style is? And how the movement patterns through the court? Do they understand what's offense, defense? Are they identifying what kind of ball the person giving you? Those are things, for one like this, they can go back and they can work with their coaches on that. I'm not too interested in that today. Somebody come from private lesson, okay, you work on that one. I'm not interested in that too much. Let's see if they can take what they have and work through the court and execute certain shots because they're going to be moving. They're not going to be talking in line. The coach is going to be fast at feeding that tennis ball like there's no tomorrow because everybody's got to move. I'm going to set 4 courts up, different themes, different emphasis, but as much as possible, we have to try to, and I know it's a short time, we have to standardize it quickly. So that's what I'm saying. You're not going to get too much involved with the technique. They can do that with their coaches on an individual level. I'm just here to get them onto the court and to figure, hey, this is what it's about. We want as much as possible to take them out of their comfort zone. But we've got to remember, if we're going to take a kid out of their comfort zone, it's a technique breaking down. Because it's an old saying, I always come back to it, do not introduce movement if a kid's stroke is not technically sound. And as much as we want to get them out of the comfort zone, I still want to maintain a level of balance, stability when they hit the ball. You know what I mean? So I'm looking for the fast feeding as much as possible, that we can keep this kid going in the groundies, moving every direction in the court, side to side, back, forward. I'm going to take a look at everything as much as possible. Tom, I know the guy you're working with the 10s and whatever, I need you to get an idea from your guys, which are the kids, because I know you told me about some issues with the kids not wanting to use a different type of ball and so forth. We got to iron that out today, because tomorrow it's work. Tomorrow we start at 8:30. I want the courts dressed. I'm going to dress some of the courts today. And we're really going to get these kids understanding what it means to work hard and train at something. Not just hitting a ball here and there, and hee ha ha. It's not going to happen while I'm here. As long as I'm at these courts, and these kids are going to be working. They're not allowed to talk in the line, and they have to keep their feet moving. That's what happened in the real world of tennis. It's better you know now what you got. So you're moving forward, because, you know, saw some good potential. If you saw me, I was looking around, watching around, and looking at the kids, and you know, there are things that that I think needs to be cleaned up. Of course, if I take my daughter, things to clean up. Everybody, there's always something to work on. Be cleaning. That's what we are. We are cleaners. Whether you use Clorox or whatever kind of disinfectant you're using, that's what we are. We are cleaners. We clean it up, and then we add the next layer. That's basically what we are. We are here for the benefit of the player. You know, and one thing I always talk about is that, you know, you work with a player, can you take the player all the way? If you can take the mind, if you can't take that player away all the way, then what do you do? What do you do? If you know you can't take a player,
Give it to the person who can take it to the next level.
there you go. Exactly. Again, two things. That's what happens in Europe. Second thing now, with the parents, okay? The parents. Parent management is so tough. The man, you know, been in this business a long time, all you guys. It is so tough, you know what I mean, to manage parents. But again, the education. Someone's going to come here and the eyes are going to open up because the kids are going to work like a horse. They're not even going to understand what it means, man. They want to, this is how you train. So for your running your program, Tennis Memphis is about you're the guys that's directing these kids. Okay? You need to know who really serious and who's not. You got to. Because as I explained to Stephen and Anna, it's all about goals. The kids come to the program, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. Do the parent really understand the hours they need to put in? I need to have X amount of hours in the group. I need to have a private to clean up my technique and work. I need to be able not to compete all the time. I need to plan. I need to periodize when I'm going to play the tournaments. Because the coaches have a plan for you. You need to know, work with you so that the kids at the end result, so you have the process, the end result is going to, okay, this is your goal. You want to go to a good D1 school, you want to go, this is what. So it's still to some degree, because you can do all you want in court, but if you're not really synchronizing with the parent, then it becomes a little bit tough. You know what I mean? So it's still, you still have to, that communication with parents. I'm a parent. If the child, I'm the same way. I told Stephen at the end of the day, I can see both sides. I can see from the parents, and I can see what's from the coach, because no matter what experience I've got, I started off like any but I'm a tennis coach. That's it. I don't care whether I have a master, be my name international. I don't care. I had the experience, and I'm a tennis coach. That's what I am. I'm nothing else than that. I'm a cleaner like everybody else. You know what I mean? So, anybody have any questions? Anything? Okay, so now, whoever working with the 10s, what have you all been working with the under 10s? Because they come in first. And I have other things I want to get into, and I will. What have you all been doing with the 10s? Because it's not about, as I said, we are doing this together. I'm not going to come here and say, hey, man, you're doing this, and that's it. I don't operate like that. I'm sorry. A lot of directors do that. I know them very well. I'm not like this. I've been around the world. I understand the real world. Guys stay here and they work all their life in the United States. I'm a director, I got 10 club. Man, you don't know anything. Until you go outside and you really understand how the top coaches behave and how they deal with other pros. And I understand that. So I know, say, hey, so I'm not coming here today and saying, hey, let's go up. That's it, let's rock on. No, I want it like this. What have we been doing with the 10s? And what are the challenges dealing with the 10s? Because they come in first. We got to knock them out first.
Well, primarily, we always have, we want them to hit a lot of balls,
Okay.
get moving. We just recently went inside, so we've had to
Transition.
we've had to kind of figure out ways to, so we crowded, so we had to, add ladders and keep them, in order to keep them moving. But we're always emphasizing strokes, and that's probably our main thing with the kids. And they all started off with drop hitting. I like what you talked about with the dimensions of the court, and we talked about the court going north and south. And so we're sort of technique, people, but sometimes it gets a little bit overcrowded. You got to make sure the kids have fun. So we'll finish with 45 minutes of different kinds of games, but it could be a consistency game, it could be a cross-court game, down the line games where they have to hit in confined spaces, and so that sort of thing. So. But they're sort of open to, we feel like most of them have their grips. Some of them have some technique where they're breaking that wrist too much down here, or maybe have a Western, something like that. But so I'm not sure, exactly, what you would have in mind. but I think, the movement you're talking about and stuff like that, that's sort of, where we're at with that, hitting a lot of balls and making sure they have a little bit of fun.
Okay, these kids have been in, how long they've been in the program?
These kids have, most of them have played 2, maybe 3 years, just started playing tournaments. We had some of them back off the tournaments, saying maybe play one of every 3 tournaments, stuff like that, because and they're right in between. Most of them, we started having a few come up to the green ball. A couple of them are turning 11. So we've been using mostly green ball with them. But, so like if we leave a couple kids over with the orange ball, sometimes they'll just whine so much, we'll let them back into the, but mostly it's been green ball.
Okay. All right, anybody else? I know you work with tennis, right?
I've got a couple, worked with a couple girls here today, and they had gone to the yellow ball, and I had to take them back to the green ball and a few orange balls just to break down the fundamentals. But
how do parents take that in the kids?
Footwork.
And how do parents take that, moving back from the green ball to the
whatever the coach thinks.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Has there been any sort of issues with parents not wanting the ball?
Yeah, you got some that won't even be here for that reason. We got some 10s that should be here, but the parents think they should be playing with the yellow ball, so they won't be here.
You should have let them come.
And they're not in the program.
If they want to come, let them come, and because at the end of the day, we can give them the sequences and I break it down for them where it will be blaring to them what the kid needs to do. And I think a lot of parents don't really, what is a synchronized stroke? Anybody knows what this is? What is a synchronized stroke? Anybody has an idea?
Just the stroke itself, or the movement with the stroke, or just the stroke?
Yeah, so the synchronizing. So you know, say technically sounds stroke, but I like to use synchronized because the feet has got to work with the racket with contact. And now it's getting so fast that when you move, you set, you hit, you have your built-in recovery. So at this point, as you're moving forward, there should be no technical issues with grips. The kid's been in the program 2 or 3 years. That should be the last thing that should be an issue. Their movement patterns. You gotta know that, okay, what's the progression of a stroke? What's the progression of a tennis stroke? Everybody know what the progression of a stroke is?
Split.
No, stroke. Nothing to do with the feet.
Contact follow through?
No. Nothing with the technique of the stroke. Anybody know what the progression of the stroke is? Hey, coach, how are you? Let me see it, man. All right. No, nothing to do with the technique. Grip is technique.
Contact point?
No.
See the ball?
Seeing the ball. Nope.
This is what you mean by progression.
Progression means how I move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I have a stroke, how do I take my stroke from 1 to 2 to 3? There's seven progressions of a tennis stroke. Could be more depending on whether you're using defense or other. What's the progression? I gotta get the ball in.
Preparation,
Nope.
shoulder turn.
Nope, not technique. So I gotta get the ball in.
All of that.
Okay, what's the next thing I gotta do? I gotta get it over consistently. What's the third thing?
Deep
Deep past serve side. 4,
placement,
5.
spin,
Nope. Placement how?
depth, up
Nope.
and back,
Variation of direction. 6.
Set it for next
spin,
Nope. Spin. Next
Power.
one. Power. Speed, power. Yes? When you work with the kids, and that's the reason I'm touching that, I'm huge on that. I'll tell you what I'm huge on. I grew up at Nick when I was, 6 years, and then I got to work with the Swedish guy. His name was Ralph Lundgren, Sweden. He set up the system for Björn Borg, Mats Wilander, all the Swedes. So I was lucky, man. I was lucky. Money couldn't buy that. So I'm big on System 5. Anybody know what System 5 is?
Yeah.
Because all this that we're doing now, guys, this is what I'm doing this weekend. So exactly what I'm talking right now, I can talk till tomorrow, but exactly the things that we're working on, progressions of a stroke, the chords, we're leading up to something. We are leading to something, and we're leading to something really, really big. Having a system, a structure. If I say to you, Tom, you know what, we move into Memphis tomorrow, or who works with high performance kids here? What's the name again, sir? Glenn. So if I say, Glenn, I'm moving here, this is Tamika's level, I want you to be in charge of Antigua. What do you think my next question is to you? Okay, evaluator. What's the next thing? Okay, you see that? What's the next thing? Okay, what's the next thing? How are you going to develop my kid? You got to tell me. So I'm going to let her hit a few balls, and then I want you to tell me, because I'm going to bring her, I say, Dan, I want you to handle, and I'm going to feed her a few balls, and I want you to tell me, I'm moving here, I don't want to coach tennis anymore. How are you going to handle my daughter? And so I wanted you and Katie to tell me that as well. How are you going to take her? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm big on System 5. Who knows what System 5 is? I'll tell them. Anybody else? What is System 5? Anybody? Tom.
Well, they use the number 5 for a lot of things, like 5 zones, 5 heights over the net. I think maybe you have the 5 backswing, but I don't know if they have that still going with it. But I've read about it and sort of incorporated it.
Yeah, I did it all my life. I grew up in the got 10, and if you look, two of the top players in the world, if they were playing today, they would still beat a lot of players in the top. Andre Agassi and Monica Seles. If they were still here young, they would spank everybody, especially Monica Seles. I don't know Monica Seles. Okay? So I divide the court into 5 zones. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So as you move through the court, about the 5 backswings, not so much the 5 backswings anymore, but dividing up the court, so that when we drill the kids this weekend, we're talking in zones. Hey, which part of the court am I dropping the ball? Where are you standing on the court? Hey, what type of ball coming to you? Which part of the court? And hey, where are you going to put the ball? Those are the things that we're looking at this weekend. So you understand what I said about, I don't know about the techniques too much? They can work on all that stuff with you privately. We're going to open their mind this weekend. Some will be able to handle it, some will like, some will don't. Who cares? You want to do the work. Because I think as coaches, you all need to know who's really serious. Because I can understand sometimes I'm on the court and I'm on the court with a kid and doesn't want to work and just to do this or just to do that. Then I need to put that kid somewhere else where I'm going to be able to take care of his or her needs. Because at some point in time, you have to separate and you have to segregate the kids. It has to happen if you're going to have a progressive junior program. It's not going to work. So I think after this weekend, those kids who come, the ones that didn't, they're lost. The ones that come, their mind, both their minds and the parents' mind is going to be open. Oh my goodness, what's I know this stuff? Wow. Because you're as coach, you need to know what's in front of you and how you're going to try to develop the kid. Because that's what we want to do, right? We want to make our kids better. We want to be able to give that energy, that empathy. We want to do that for them. But we can't flog a dead horse. I've always said, you get that horse in the water and you stick the head in the water, get that horse, get it in there. You ain't going to drink if it doesn't want to. You know what I mean? So some kids are going tough, then maybe some of them a little rest more than others, but they're going to work like there's no tomorrow. That's exactly what's going to happen. Okay? So, the progressions of the stroke, the 5 zones of the court, and the movement patterns into those 5 zones of the court. Questions, anybody? Because I'm going to talk, I'm going to do a couple of things, but I want y'all going to get on the court and start doing it for me. Working on some stuff that we're going to do, especially the progressions of the stroke. You can write it in your phone if you want to, you know. Yeah. Get the ball over. Guys, you're supposed to have a notepad. Sorry? Tracking the ball. I mean, tracking the ball, but I think if you go with the progressions of the stroke, you deal with this at the progression. The other parts, we work with identifying what kind of ball coming to you. So right now, we're just working with the progression of the stroke. You know what I mean? I got some paper if anybody needs. Huh?
Want some paper?
You smiling.
I'm going to get all of it.
Huh? Smiling, still my smile.
I can't remember.
Drives me crazy when I'm coaching. Why are you smiling? Come on, get angry.
He's so happy to be out there with his dad.
Alright, well, no money can do that, right? No money can do that. I'm lucky. Okay, so I get the ball over. I get it over consistently. I get it over with depth, I mean past the service line. I get it over with direction. I vary the direction. I vary the depth. That's the one we forgot. Nobody picked up on it. I got to vary depth. I tried to go short, I push it deep. So that's the one I would wait until somebody would have gotten it, but it's all right.
That's not it.
Huh?
Yeah.
You did? Oh, sorry, man. I got you there.
Just gotta set it straight.
Speak up.
So what's next? So I vary the depth. Spin, speed, power. Okay. Now, all we do is anybody can add anything that you think that we can add it afterward, because as I said, we're doing this together, okay? This is what I want to focus on. The main theme of this weekend, the kids understand what their style is. We're not focusing on fixing strokes. We are not doing that this weekend. That's the one thing we're not doing, okay? They understand. Game style, I'll talk to them today about what game style is. I want everybody to, all the kids to me, how do you play tennis? Now, if they don't understand what the game style is, I break it down for them. We break it down for them. Okay? So, the progressions of the stroke, understanding, hey, this kid feeding this ball if I'm moving him wide. Hey, this is where you're looking to go when you're wide. Okay, you're going wide, you're putting the ball across. Is there enough depth? Extend out more. Go higher with spin or hit through the ball more. 2 ways to find the depth. I can hit through the ball. I can hit heavy topspin like Nadal hit deep. So there's no right and there's no wrong way. We have 2 ways. Either way, we got to get the ball across court and deep. Past the silver stand. We're going to work with those. Okay, so it's not no one way. We got to be able to improvise a little bit when we need to, right? So the progressions of the stroke and the 5 zones of the court. And my movement patterns. Those are the 3 things. I said, okay, those are the 3 things. It's really, thank you, coach. Those are the, anybody want to get some? Go ahead before I go. 3 guys bring my drink.